The pronation is one of the most important arm wrestling strengths. It doesn't matter if you're a top roller, hooker, or even a presser. You are a much better arm wrestler if you have a strong pronator. In this video, I'm going to rank the best and worst pronation exercises on a tier list from S for super to F for fail. At the end, I'll crown one exercise as the best of the best and one exercise that is a complete waste of time. Now, let's remind the criteria by which I'm going to rank the exercises. The first criteria, and by far the most important one, is how well the exercise transfers to the arm wrestling table. As arm wrestlers, our primary objective is to be strong on the arm wrestling table, and we use gym training only to improve our performance on the table. When it comes to pronation, you'll never use it alone. It always works together with either your back pressure or with your side pressure. The second criteria is being able to progress well over time. You can basically progress in any exercise, but the most important aspect is to be able to improve as fast as possible without injuring yourself. And the third criteria, which is closely related to the second one, is that the exercise must feel good. That means you shouldn't have any significant pain during the exercise, and at the same time, you should recover well after training it. Remember, I'm going to rank the exercises based on my own opinion. I will try to be as objective as possible, but don't wonder if my choices are different from yours. If you have a different opinion, write it down in the comment section below. Let's get straight into it, and the first exercise we are going to look at is pronation combined with hammer curl. I think every arm wrestler on the planet has done this exercise at least once. You will start with your hand completely pumped up and you will do a hammer curl while pronating your hand. This exercise trains mainly your defensive skills, and you can do it to build some general strength and coordination. But it doesn't translate very well on the table, because in arm wrestling, you never want to give up your pronation completely and then try to regain it from there. Most of the time, if you lose your pronator completely, the chances of getting it back are very low. At the same time, it can build a bad habit of not keeping your pronator engaged right from the start. Pronation combined with hammer curl go into the C tier. Let's continue with pronation through the forearm combined with back pressure. This is an exercise done a lot by Engin Terzi, who probably has the strongest pronator pound for pound on the planet. Grab the belt as shown in the video, perform your regular back pressure, and pronate your forearm at the same time. If you are a top roller, this should be one of your main exercises to counter a hook puller, because hookers will attack your pronation very low, which means you'll also have to pronate through the lowest part of your wrist. Also, if you are a hooker pulling against another hooker, you will need to apply your pronation through your forearm, because you are simply too low from a level perspective to apply it through your hand. The only downside of this exercise is that it can become uncomfortable on the forearm bones when using very heavy weights. Pronation through the forearm combined with back pressure goes into the A tier. The third exercise on the list is the famous Devon Larat pronation lift. You can do this exercise like Devon, which means you lift the weight up from the floor, or if you have a table and a pulley, you can do it on the table. I prefer to do it on the table because it simulates the position I am in during a real arm wrestling match. Grab the belt over your thumb and start with a straight wrist. Pull the weight backwards and make sure your pronator stays intact during the entire movement. This is the mistake most people make. They don't focus on maintaining the pronator. If your pronator opens up even a little bit, the lift is failed. This is one of my favorite pronation exercises, because it translates extremely well on the table. You will progress in a healthy way, and you will also recover well after training it. The Devon Larat pronation exercise goes straight into the S tier. Moving on to pronation with your forearm fixed on the table. This is the only exercise on this list where you'll isolate your pronation completely from all the other muscle groups. Like in every other pronation exercise, you can grab the belt in 3 different ways: very high, over your thumb, and over your forearm. Open up your pronation completely and perform your regular dynamic curls. Because the pronation is completely isolated, the weights will be very humbling. This exercise is great to build some general pronation strength. The only downside is that it doesn't translate extremely well on the table, because as I already mentioned, pronation always works together with either your back pressure or with your side pressure. Pronation with the forearm fixed on the table goes in the A tier. The next exercise on the list is pronation with a high grip. This one is extremely similar to the second exercise, but here you will grab the belt higher. Make sure to pronate your hand through the full range of motion. If you are a top roller, this should be one of your main exercises when preparing against other top rollers, because you will have to pronate very high. Again, you will do this exercise dynamically. The only disadvantage is that the pressure on your pronator is at its highest when your pronator is fully turned up. There is a better variation of this exercise that you can do, which will come later in the video. Pronation with a high grip goes in the B tier. Let's move on to one of the most popular arm wrestling lifts, the pronated side pressure. Todd Hutchings does this exercise all the time. You can perform it with whatever grip and handle you want, but the variation where you simply grab the belt and pull it to the side is probably the hardest one. If you are a beginner, make sure you warm up well before doing this, because the risk of injury is very high. This exercise is really great because it teaches you to apply your side pressure together with pronation. And this is exactly what you'll need in a real arm wrestling match. Just like with the Devon Larat pronation lift, make sure your pronator stays intact throughout the entire movement. Normally, I would place this exercise in the A tier because the risk of injury is very high when done wrong. But because it is such an important exercise, I will put it in the S tier. Exercise number 7 is dumbbell bar pronation curls. This is another exercise arm wrestlers use to isolate the pronator. You will have to grab the bar and perform dynamic pronation curls. However, this exercise isn't very realistic, because in a real match, you'll never grab someone and pronate your hand through like this. You also have to engage a lot of stabilizing muscles, which means you don't even truly isolate your pronation completely. The weight will be very small, and because of that, you'll not be able to progress well over time. If you want to isolate your pronation completely, do the exercise mentioned a moment ago. Dumbbell bar pronation curls go into the D tier, and I wouldn't recommend you to do this exercise. Now, let's move to an exercise that is not that popular, but extremely effective. Pronation static holds. Wrap the belt around your thumb and add some sort of material between your hand and the belt. Then pick the weight up and hold it statically for 5 seconds. The problem with most pronation exercises is that the tension on the pronator is very small when your hand is in a neutral position. And that's exactly what this exercise does. By adding some sort of material between your hand and the belt, you will have maximum pressure on the pronator right from the start. This is a great exercise because it simulates the start of an arm wrestling match. At the same time, it makes sure your pronator is engaged even before the match starts. It doesn't matter what your style is on the table, everyone should do this exercise. But don't expect to lift very big weights. Pronation static holds go into the A tier. Another exercise that I see more and more is pronation from the side. The difference between this one and the one Todd Hutchings does is that here your elbow stays fixed and you will only work your pronation. Daniel Prokopchuk does this exercise frequently and it recommends it often on his YouTube channel. Here again, you can use all 3 pronation grips, very high, over your thumb and over your forearm. It is very realistic because oftentimes you will have to pronate your hand while the pressure comes from the side and not from the front. You shouldn't have any pain from it and the progress is very solid. Pronation from the side goes in the A tier. And the last exercise on the list is pronation by kicking back your supinator. You have to understand, your hand can apply your pronation from 2 different points. First is by pronating the thumb, and second is by kicking back your supination. This is the only exercise on the list that targets the second part, and it is extremely important to do it to avoid imbalances. You will not work with heavy weights, and I also wouldn't recommend you to do this exercise as one of your main exercises. But as an accessory, it is a necessity. You will also notice how much your pronation will improve on the table after you start doing this exercise regularly. Pronation by kicking back your supination goes into the B tier. Now, the 2 best exercises for building pronation strength are the Devon Larat pronation lift and the pronated side pressure. I can't pick just one of them because both are extremely effective and they target your pronation from two different directions. When it comes to the worst exercise, I have to choose the dumbbell bar pronation curls. I can't say that it is a completely terrible exercise, but as I already mentioned, if you want to isolate your pronation completely, do the pronation with your forearm fixed on the table. These were 10 pronation exercises ranked from S for super to F for fail. I already did a ranking video on back pressure and hand exercises, so if you haven't seen those, go check them out. Both links are in the video description. If you have a different opinion, write it down in the comment section below and tell me what arm wrestling vector I should cover in the next ranking video. Also, if my videos are helping your arm wrestling game grow, consider supporting the channel. Link is down below. Keep your eyes on this channel, great stuff is coming.